This interview is a part of the Oklahoma Historical Society's oral history program, Living Legends Collection. There is no original date given in the introduction to this interview. The interview was conducted by Mr. Raymond Fields, assisted by Mr. Guy Ross. The interviewee was incorrectly identified as W. W. Lee and his family, but is later on correctly identified as M. W. Lee and his family. The interview takes place in Boley, Oklahoma. This interview is being re-recorded on March the 18th, 1985 for inclusion in the permanent collections of the Oral History Program by Judith Michener.
Living Legend Library, located at Oklahoma Christian College, Memorial Road at Eastern in Oklahoma City. The library has its objective of gathering and preserving by voice the reminiscent history of Oklahoma. We're in Boley, Oklahoma today. Boley is an exclusively Negro inhabited town. At one time it had an estimated population of 3,500, and it advertised itself at that time as the largest exclusively Negro town in the world. Today the population is something between 700 and 800, I believe. Is that correct, Mr. W. W. Lee?
Well, 650.
650.
Yes.
Well, it has really declined.
Certainly.
Now we have in under questioning now Mr. W. W. Lee, the father
M.W. Lee.
M.W. Lee,
Yes.
the father of two interesting young Negro inventors. Forrest, I believe, is the oldest. Is that correct? And Maurice is the oldest, and Forrest is the younger.
Right.
Forrest is a graduate of Oklahoma City University, and Maurice of Illinois University. They are in a partnership here, the three members of the family, inventing and selling patents on their inventions from which they draw royalty payments. It was my privilege to see one of these inventions, a hamburger fryer that fried hamburgers through, as Maurice said, electrocution in 45 seconds. And that is now on the market, I believe. Is it not, Maurice?
No, it isn't on the market now. It's not being made just yet. I don't suppose it matters, but I would like to say this before we get too far gone. No one, Boley isn't all Negro. It's predominantly Negro. We do have other races here inhabiting this town. Number two, well, this is just for the sake of accuracy, I guess. My father is a major inventor of most of these things. And number three, of course, we're a corporation, not a partnership.
It is a corporation.
It is a corporation.
What is the name of the corporation, Maurice?
M.W. Lee Corporation, M.W. Lee Manufacturing Company.
And now I would like to ask you, in what you are inventing or have invented, and you're manufacturing a barbecue equipment machine. Is that correct?
Yes, this is correct. This is a automatic pressure barbecuer that smokes meat under pressure, and it cooks it, smokes it, browns it all in one operation. It's primarily commercial.
When you were at Oklahoma City, Forrest, did you study engineering?
I finished in industrial arts.
That was your major.
Yes.
And how about you at Illinois?
I finished in electrical engineering.
Electrical engineering. What year?
1954.
1954. And then you returned to Boley. You weren't born here, were you?
Well, I was born in Oklahoma City. I spent my life here.
Both of you were born in Oklahoma City.
I was born in Boley.
You came 25 years ago, and so that's when you all came, I guess, 25 years ago.
Well, now, between you, suppose we divide this up a little, and Maurice, will you describe a little more in detail this barbecue machine that you're in the process of marketing?
Well, the unit itself, as we presently manufacture it, it consists of a pressure cooker type container in which we put a cup with hickory shavings in it, and then the meat is loaded into the machine and a cover is put on it to where it will hold pressure, and it is electric in nature. The current is turned on and the hickory shavings char and creates a smoke, and being under pressure it forces the hickory flavor all the way through the meat. Not only can you use it as a barbecue, but you can use it as an aromatic cooker in which you can put any type of flavoring, such as wine, vinegar, applewood, cherrywood, sassafras bark, or any type of flavoring that you want into any meat that you want.
Have you ever eaten sassafras cured meats?
I've heard of them being cured with sassafras.
Well, if you're passing beyond Brazil, Indiana, it's between Terre Haute and Brazil, there's a place in the country, a very fine eating establishment that features sassafras cured hams and bacon.
I think I've probably passed by there. I've been on that road, I know.
Now, what other inventions have you boys patented?
Well, as I said before, we have several patents. Majority of them are patented by my father. Majority of them are his ideas.
Well, he can describe these again.
Right.
How about it, Mr. Lee? Tell us something about some of these patents.
Well, my first patent was on a rotary compressor for electric refrigerator. I never did do anything with it. And my next one was on
How long ago was this?
that was in 1932 when I was in Nashville.
Just a bit louder, if you please.
I was teaching in a Tennessee State University. My next invention was a propane system that utilized the gas both for heat and for refrigeration. Never did do anything with that. And my next invention was which was jointly with my oldest son, was an automatic timer for top burners of gas stoves. My next invention was the electric barbecuer, which my son just described. I have about 3 or 4 patents on the barbecuer, just covering different aspects of it. 2 of them on gas models. And another invention was a hamburger cooker, which was jointly with my oldest son, which he just described to you.
You fellas must spend a lot of time thinking to be this creative. How do you get ideas?
Well, I used to lay in bed at night and think of them.
Forrest, you have any particular leaning toward any of your patents? I mean, do you have a favorite among them?
Well, I guess most of my time is spent with the barbecue.
The barbecue machine.
Yeah.
And you have great hopes for that, I presume?
Yes.
Is it being distributed now?
Yes, in about 30 states now.
30 states.
And we've shipped them all over the nation.
At one time, it's my understanding that you undertook the manufacture of some of your inventions. Is that correct?
Yes, and we are presently manufacturing the barbecue unit.
Mm-hmm. And you employed quite a number of employees.
Yes.
About 14, I believe.
Yes.
I think that was the time I first met you. Well, it's the most interesting phase of Oklahoma's industrial life, and we certainly have high hope for your expansion. Now, when you get through with this present machine, this barbecue machine, I presume that you're going on and get more patents on other machines. Is that correct?
Yes, that's in the process now.
Mr. Lee, do you take these out in the name of the corporation or as individuals?
As an individual and signed to the corporation.
I'd like to ask you from a human interest standpoint, did you foresee that these Forrest and Maurice would be fellow inventors or manufacturers when you looked into their future 20, 30 years ago?
No, I didn't see it. However, I've always had aspirations that they would be.
They show inclinations toward being inventors.
Yeah, they were always mechanically inclined.
Did you guys look forward to, did you aspire to follow in your father's footsteps and do this, or are you surprised that you?
Well, I really never gave it any thought. Just do it.
Well, the fact that you studied electrical engineering would indicate that you had a lean toward engineering and invention, I think, wouldn't it?
Well, I suppose so. He taught me how to wire houses when I was about 11 or 12 years old. I used to contract wiring houses. Of course, this is, I guess, electrical engineering is a far cry from wiring a house, but this just naturally followed. I was always interested in electrical devices.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What did you teach when you were teaching at the university?
I taught industrial education.
Well, I was wondering if then you started on the same route by your
Yes.
Academic study.
What university was it?
Tennessee State.
I don't think we ever described one of you did back there, but I don't think we ever described on the tape very much of how the hamburger griddle idea works. This is a unique idea, and so I wish one of you would describe that for the benefit of the recording.
Well, it's a super fast method of cooking, not only hamburgers, but other items of meat, and it consists of 2 plates whereby you pass an electrical current through the hamburger or the meat. The meat itself has resistance, and anything that has resistance to electrical current will heat up. And this, in other words, the hamburger, the piece of meat, acts as its own element and heats itself up and cooks itself.
It's in griddle form,
It's
isn't
in
it?
griddle form, yes. And as I said, it will cook 2 hamburgers in roughly 45 seconds or less. Completely done. The juices are out, but the juices are in, but it dries the greases out, and it really makes a tasty hamburger.
When you think when one of you gets an idea, do you then all go to work trying to perfect the idea together, or is there any pattern to what happens?
Well, there's not necessarily a pattern. Of course, I'm sure that in our ideas, when you go from idea to working model, that all of us will add our 2 cents worth in it to the person who has the idea and try to come up with a practical working model. Ideas, of course, you must have a good idea, this is true, but getting from idea to a practical working model is another thing.
Do you have a lot of ideas that you never are able to materialize before you come up with a success?
Oh, definitely so. I'm sure that everyone has ideas, but as I said, going from idea to a working model, well, I would suppose that just out of ideas alone, if you got 1 out of 1,000 ideas that was a good marketable product, then you were doing splendid.
What is the officer structure of your corporation? Do you have a chairman of the board?
Well, actually, my brother is chairman of the board.
And how about the president?
Well, we have no president as such. We have
Board of directors.
yes, and
How many are on that?
well, there are 5 directors.
All of them in the family?
No, practically family though.
What? Which one of your inventions are you the happiest with? Which one's been the biggest one for you?
The electric barbecuer.
The barbecuer?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one you're pushing the hardest now?
Yes.
Yes. Although this doesn't mean that any one of them can't be. All of them have potential. This just happened to be the one that we had the capability to manufacture and to market and run with.
You two brothers recently attended the National Convention of the Restaurant Association in Chicago, I believe. Did you take one of these barbecue exhibits with you?
Yes, we had a booth there where we actually sold
Did
our
it-
products.
Did it excite quite a bit of interest?
Yes, it's been real interesting everywhere we go. In fact, in the Kansas restaurant show, we won a trophy for being the most popular booth there.
Is there a? Do you like to promote them as much as you do to perfect them?
Yes, I think I like it better. I
You do?
started out in the shop, but I ended up on the sales end.
Are you primarily the promoter of the 3, or do you all promote?
Well, he and I do most of the promoting, and he does the inventing.
You do the inventing, and you two do the promoting.
That's right.
Well, that's probably a good arrangement.
I presume your father encourages that very much.
Yes.
I noticed when I was here before that he liked to fiddle around in the back shop.
What do you foresee in the future, in your own futures? More inventions,
More inventions, offshoots from the inventions themselves. For example, you asked what we would do if where we're going to do when the barbecue ran out. We don't intend for it to run out. You can not only come up with new patents, new applications for it, but also you can get into the other angles of the barbecue business. For example, we make a barbecue sauce now that can be marketed. We are marketing it commercially, but it could be marketed to the retail market or to housewives. We also could package frozen barbecue and distribute it. So there are many aspects that can be developed and marketed just from 1 or 2 inventions.
Do you manufacture the barbecue, the sauce, or
We manufacture a barbecue sauce. Right.
do you do it here? Or?
Yes, we do it here.
The reason I ask is, I saw all this machinery and I couldn't quite conceive of this. I
Well,
thought
it
you had
isn't
it farmed
down
out
there. No,
somewhere.
we have another room where we actually do that.
The decline in population of Boley doesn't affect your business any, does it?
No, our
No.
business is strictly from the outside.
We're going from here to Clareview for an interview on the boom days, oil boom days down there. It came pretty close to your door. As I recall, there was a well on the Dill Ranch on Highway 62 out here. And land around here was leasing real well at that time, was it not?
Yes, I was in the oil business myself shortly after.
Do you know Mr. Bush at Clareview?
Yes, I do.
He built that school there to fit a large population. Now he has about 100 or 150.
What do you see as you've been in Boley 25 years?
Yes.
What do you see with this perspective? What do you see in the future for Boley? Do you think it'll about maintain its own?
I think it'll maintain its own. It's better off financially than it's ever been.
It is.
Yes. A lot of people away from here, but a lot of them work at Tinker Field and in Oklahoma City and keep their money invested in Boley.
Boley is not you say, is not an exclusively Negro community?
Not exclusively, no. I'd say it's predominantly. In other words, you're talking a ratio of.
I came through here the night of July 4th, 1910, when Jack Johnson had knocked out Jim Jeffries at Reno. And we were on a special train that ran between Prague and Fort Smith, Prague being in the wet Oklahoma territory. They took their excursion trains there. I never saw a bigger crowd of people in my life and surrounded our train. They were really celebrating.
You were about to say what kind of ratio there was.
Well, I was going to say roughly about 4 to 650.
Well, at one time you were exclusively Negro, however.
Yes.
And, well, I think, Guy, that they have told the Living Legend Library a very interesting story.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
one on which the library wishes to congratulate you and wish you the very best for the future.
I'd like to ask you one more question that occurs to me before we leave. It seems to me that 200 years from now, maybe when I would hope that integration and all this will, people probably won't even be thinking about it much anymore, that towns like this will be, you know, people will probably look back on them with great interest. And do you think that towns exclusively Negro or any other race do you think Boley will cease to be almost exclusively Negro, or what? What'll happen?
Very definitely so.
Well, I wanted to point out a while ago too that right now we don't practice any discrimination, and we welcome people of all races. This is the only way we can grow really is to attract people, not with any basis of race, but anybody who wants to come here and be productive, then they're welcome. So with other races being in majority, then it would stand to reason that 200 years from now that Boley would cease to be, or maybe 50 years from now even.
Has the attitude in your time here, has the attitude in Boley, for instance, toward, you know, wanting, being willing for other people to come in, has the attitude changed?
Yes,
A
I'd
lot.
say it's definitely changed.
Has it changed in the, well, this is an obvious question then. It has changed as much in the Negroes' thinking probably as we'd hope it's changed in the Caucasians' thinking.
At one time, Boley was the headquarters for the Negro Masonic Lodge in Oklahoma, I recall. And that has moved out now to Tulsa.
Well, the state Masonic temple was here, and it burnt down about 1956, and the national meeting, state meetings are now held in Tulsa, and Oklahoma City, and Muskogee rather than Boley.
Is the boys' correctional school located here, an asset to the community?
I'd say it is. They employ quite a
Now that isn't, that's mixed racially, is it not?
Yes, it is now.
And so is the girls' school at Taft.
Well, I can't think of anything else to ask. Can you?
No, I
you?
think we have some mighty meaty material in here.
Well, I think so too. Is there anything that you all want to say that we're missing? There may be some things that
I don't know what you might want. I got some copies of papers in there where other guys have done stories on Boley, and we've had other interviews, but
You do?
I don't know whether it'll be of interest. What points
Has the
would you want
Okima
to-
Daily Leader written you up?
Yeah, they've written it.